Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a really big shift happening in Thailand's corporate world. A new rule is making environmental and social reporting mandatory, and honestly, it's part of a massive global trend. So, let's break down exactly what this means for businesses and investors.
So, to really get why Thailand's new rule is such a big deal, we first need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. Why has ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance reporting, suddenly become a topic that everybody's talking about?
It's a great question, right? For years, it was all about the financial reports, the bottom line, but now, everyone from investors to customers is demanding to know more about how a company's actions affect the world around them. And the reasons why? Well, they're actually pretty powerful.
Yeah, this isn't just about looking good for the cameras. ESG reporting is a serious tool for companies to manage risk and show how they're planning to create value for the long haul. And for investors, it's like getting a peek under the hood. It helps them spot hidden risks and find companies that are built to last, which, can often mean better returns.
And that brings us right back to Thailand. The country's Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, has officially jumped on this global trend. They've taken ESG reporting from something that was just nice to do to something that is an absolute must-do for their listed companies.
This timeline just lays it all out so clearly. You can see just how fast this happened. Before 2021, sharing ESG info was totally optional. But by the end of that same year, boom, the rules changed. It's now a mandatory part of how companies report every year. That's a huge shift in the landscape of Thai corporate law.
So how'd they do it? They introduced this thing called the 5611 report. The idea was actually to make life easier by combining a couple of older, separate reports into one single document. But here's the clever part. While they were simplifying the paperwork, they slipped in this whole new section of mandatory ESG info. It fundamentally changed the game.
All right, so what exactly do companies have to spill in this new one report? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, because these requirements, when you put them all together, paint a really detailed picture of a company's commitment to sustainability.
It all starts at the top, with the company's core identity. They now have to clearly state their main vision and strategy. But more than that, they have to identify their biggest business risks. And that now must include ESG issues, things like climate change or supply chain labor problems. And they have to spell out their official policy for managing it all sustainably.
Okay, from that high-level strategy, the report gets really specific, starting with the first pillar of ESG, the environment. This is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, in terms of a company's real-world footprint.
And companies can't just make vague promises anymore. They've got to show their cards. We're talking detailed policies on how they handle waste, water, and pollution. They have to report their greenhouse gas emissions using international standards. And, this is huge, if they're being investigated for breaking any environmental laws, they have to disclose it. No hiding.
Next up, we've got the S in ESG, social. This part is all about people. It looks at how a company deals with its employees, its suppliers, and the communities it operates in.
And again, the required disclosures here are incredibly specific. Companies have to talk about their human rights policies all the way through their supply chain. They need to give details on their labor practices, come clean about any labor law violations, and even provide a history of any labor disputes from the past 3 years. That is a whole new level of accountability.
So with all these new rules in the playbook, what does this all mean for the future of the Thai market? Let's zoom back out and try to connect the dots.
First off, here's a really important distinction to make. These mandatory rules only apply to companies that are listed on the stock exchange. For every other private, non-listed company, ESG reporting is still totally voluntary. Now, some might do it anyway to be good corporate citizens, but they don't have to.
And here's another crucial piece of the puzzle. This 5611 report basically sets the floor, not the ceiling. It establishes the absolute minimum amount of information a company has to provide. There's still a lot of wiggle room for companies to decide if they want to go above and beyond that bare minimum.
And that leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Since this is all so new, nobody really knows what the long-term impact will be. Are companies just going to do the least amount possible to check the box? Or could this be the spark that ignites a real movement toward greater transparency and sustainability in Thailand? I guess only time will tell.